Novo Nordisk just released their last earnings and the stock price is up 6% just after the release, and the year-to-date performance is minus 26%. So in this video you will understand everything about Novo Nordisk's last release. Also we'll talk about the valuation, what is a new valuation taking in consideration those release. And to be honest, it's pretty strange that it go up plus 6% after those release, because they were good but not exceptional. There is some little information that were given, especially in the guidance, that could make the stock fall, okay, especially if we go 3 months back or 6 months back. If they had this kind of earnings 3 or 6 months back, I really feel that the market reaction will not be a plus 6% before opening in the US and now when it's open in Europe. So yeah, it's strange. Maybe the sentiment about this company is shifting and the market is realizing that they are really undervalued and they're doing great. So let's start by having a look at the growth. Okay, the revenue grew by 19% compared to Q1 2024. Operating income plus 22%. Global sales for obesity drug plus 67% year over year and plus 85% for Wegovy. So that's very solid. The GLP-1 diabetes plus 13% and the rare disease plus 5%. So we have really some solid growth in each segment. The rare disease is only plus 5%, but it's not the main one. It's not something where they have a focus. You can see that they focus mostly here and here. So it's pretty solid. The net income grew by 14% and EPS by 15%, okay, and free cash flow plus 89%, but it's mostly due that because they had like more cash, and last year you had all this free cash flow thing with a big decrease because of the Catalent acquisition. There is some nice information that I like to see here is the growth per area. And you can see that the growth in China is plus 25% compared to last year. And this is something very good because it's a market where it's very good that they get a hand on it. And especially if we have all this tension between United States and China. Novo Nordisk is a Norwegian company, Denmark, sorry. It's from Denmark. And it can be neutral, so maybe China will accept more Novo Nordisk, especially that the image of European medicine, European thing is well accepted in China. Even in the world, it's generally sounds like quality and so on. So yeah, that's pretty solid that they grow that fast in China and that they are dominant in China. Okay, you can see here the GLP-1 diabetes development per geographical area. You can see that in the US operations, they have 52% of the market approximately. It decreased a little, but in China it increased from 77.7% to 80.9%. So you really have some solid growth in China, and they're getting more and more dominant in this market, which is something very good because I think it's a growing market and it's a market that could grow really significantly, even though now the main market, it's US. Okay, the US is the most important one. You can see that it's bring most of the revenue, okay, like more than half of the revenue is brought by US, okay, and China represents a very little part of the whole revenue. So you need to take this into consideration because like it's not the biggest market. Now you can see here the different sales with different area. You can see the GLP-1 grew by 13%, mostly driven by Ozempic, which grew by 18%, and Rybelsus by 14%. I think Rybelsus is an oral drug, okay? You have the insulin that grew by 4%, but since they do mostly GLP-1 now, it's normal that it go like this. And Wegovy by 85%, okay? The obesity care, 67%. And then you have all the rare diseases. The one that grew kind of fast is the rare endocrine disorders, plus 18%, and the other one plus 1%. So this is pretty solid in terms of growth, like revenue growing by plus 19%. It's something very good. let's have a look at the margins. They have a gross margin of 83.5%, which is a bit lower than last year, 84.8%. But the good thing is operating margin are 49.7%, up from 48.7% last year. This is something very solid, okay? Especially that they are high. In the business, we like when the operating margin are higher than 15-20%. Here, for a pharmaceutical company, having 49% operating margin is crazy. It's amazing, okay? So this is something very good. And it was the guidance that the management gave last quarter, okay, during the last report, that they expect the operating margin to continue to grow. And this is what's happening. And it's something we like to see. Capital allocation. We not much here, okay? Capital expenditure for property, plant and equipment was 13.4 billion Danish crown compared to 8.5 billion in 2024, primarily reflecting investment in additional capacity for active pharmaceutical ingredient production and fill finish capacity for both current and future injectable and oral products. So they want to continue to grow. They need to buy more ingredient to produce more medicine, to produce more drugs. So nothing like particular here. An interesting thing in the balance sheet, if you look at it now, it's total asset grew by 40% compared to last year, and it's something pretty good. The guidance, we had the previous guidance here. They expected revenue to grow by 16 to 24% and operating profit by 19 to 27%. They put those guidance down. And by putting those guidance down, that's why I'm surprised that the stock rise 6%, because it's a normal, like all of the numbers that we saw before, it's pretty normal for this company. If you look at the last result and the one before, it was always like this. But generally, they don't see the guidance going back, but we still have some very solid guidance, okay? Plus 13 to plus 21% for revenue and operating profit plus 16 to plus 24. So it's very solid. The reason is the updated sales outlook reflect lower than planned penetration of branded GLP-1 treatments in the US impacted by compounded GLP-1s. Novo Nordisk is focused on preventing unlawful compounding and further expanding access in the US. So it's supposed to be the end of the compounding GLP-1 in H2 2025, but it may take longer than expected. That's what they are thinking. So they may have like less revenue because of this, less growth because of this. But the other thing which is good is that they did this partnership with Hims, and Hims was a serious competitor for this compounding GLP-1 because you could buy them on Hims from their brand. And here they did a partnership to propose Wegovy, to propose Ozempic. So yeah, that's something good as well that happened. It didn't look like they do buybacks, okay? They didn't really mention this, and they didn't seem to do like a lot of buybacks this quarter. And to be honest, it's a pity considering the price of the share. Like the price really dropped, so it could have been a good timing to do some buybacks. Now let's have a look at valuation, okay? Now I updated my current net income because of the new earnings that they released. It was higher than expected, so they beat what was expected here. So it's very good. And so now this is what we can have, $16,938. So I converted in dollar from Danish crown. This is the last 3 quarters plus the provision for the next quarter. So if they do better than expected again on the next quarter, this number is supposed to be higher, but I took in consideration that they will not do better. They will just do the same. So with the 13% annual growth rate for the next 5 years, okay, dividend will grow by 15% and we'll take a P ratio of 23. Okay, the average for the last 10 years is around 30 or 35. I will put 23 because I will be more conservative, and if we take the average for the last 20 years, it's more around 23 than around than around 30 and so on. So I will put 23, could be 25, but I prefer to take some margins of safety here. At this, if this is true, okay, if this happens, if they grow by 13% per year, the net income for the next 5 years, you will have a fair value around 92 almost $93, okay, which is 40% higher than what we have now, which is $66. So in Danish crown, okay, if they have $93, it means that the fair value, sorry for this, the fair value should be around 611 Danish crown, okay, 611 Danish crown for this. If they grow by 14%, let's say the net income, okay, you will have 97. So 97 here means 637 Danish crown. So it all depends on how they will grow and of course the valuation afterward, at which PE it will be traded. I think 23 is pretty fair and is taking some margins of safety. So that's all for Novo Nordisk earnings. Let me know in the comment section if you have it in your portfolio. What do you think about those earnings? To be honest, I feel that the sentiment can be changing for this company. First last week with partnership announcement with HIMSS, and then this week with some solid earnings. And even if the guidance have been decreased, they still go up. So it's something we like to see. Let's see how the market will react now for all of this.